What's going on, people? Welcome to the Trumpet Studio. I'm Ricio. This is Learn from a Pro with Ricio. We're going to be talking about the plunger mute today on the trumpet, so stick around and we'll be diving into the history of the plunger in jazz. Alright, so the plunger mute has technically 5 positions as prescribed by Wynton Marsalis. And so first position would be fully closed, and that'll give a buzzing sound. Might affect your intonation. So that's the first position. Then the second position will be a slight opening. Then third position, about halfway open. Fourth position, just a little bit of the plunger being caught inside of the sound. And then completely open will be fifth. So manipulating from 1 through 5, you can create a lot of different sounds. Alright, and so in addition to those positions you can use on the actual plunger, you can use some of your trumpet techniques like different styles of tonguing. So you can use very staccato articulation, and you can also use double and triple tonguing. So if you're using double tonguing, it would sound like this. And if you want to use triple tonguing, and also you can play around with the placement of your accents while using your different multiple tonguing techniques. For instance, I like to use this one. So that's kind of like a fast double tongue, but using accents on different parts of the beat to make it like a musical statement. Also, we have flutter tonguing, and so flutter tonguing and growling are two things that sound similar inside the horn. One of which you use the front of your tongue, and that's the flutter tongue, and that one sounds like this. So anybody, if you can roll your R's when you're speaking Spanish, that type of thing, it's the same thing. You just continue to vibrate the tongue, the very tip. And also you can use growling, which is you're humming and creating a growling sound in your throat. And you're humming to get a similar sound. And as you can hear, you can actually hum different notes, and that'll give you different types of effects that you can use. A lot of trombone players definitely use that, and sousaphone players will use that to have like layers and harmony in their playing. And for us, using the flutter tongue, you can use it like this. And if you wanted to use the growl in a similar passage, it would sound different because you can make it dirtier and more meaty. As you can see, it's a lot of throat vibration. Also, things like aggressive lip slurs are something that's pretty fun to use inside the plunger. So a slur on concert G or A. Throw the plunger on there and you got a pretty cool sound. Also, you heard that I put a fall on the end of that one. So any of these techniques that you can mix in, you can use to create some musical dialogue and some interesting musical statements. And you can combine a lot of them to create a nice line, just like Cootie Williams is famous for doing on Duke Ellington's composition, The Shepherd. And that one goes like this. Also, you heard me do some half valving in there. So getting inside the middle of the horn by half valving so that the air is not coming through the bell is a good technique to use when you're trying to manipulate sound with the plunger. So here's something like a fall without the half valving. And I'm going to use the first and third valve to assist me into falling down in the center of the horn. All right. So that was just me using my valves. And I started here, and as I went in the middle, I just used a portion of the valve instead of going all the way in, and eventually landed on F sharp or concert E. Add in some other techniques and you get a pretty cool sound. Alright, so that was our discussion on the plunger. We used some multiple tonguing, we used some growling, we used some half valving, we used some interesting spins on articulations to create something that would be a musical effect. This tool is in essence to mimic the voice when you're not using some of the growling or flutter tongue techniques. It's a very pretty sound that you can create that's similar to the fluidness of a voice when you're using just the plunger. But also it's some way to create some of those extended techniques and some of those interesting sounds that are only possible with using the plunger that Duke Ellington and sometimes Count Basie's band would use. So this is a great technique for your students to start to develop. They should start to research people like Bubba Miley, who was Ellington's early trumpet player, and then following him, Mr. Cootie Williams, a great person to look up. Wynton Marsalis is also a phenomenal plunger user, and there's plenty of people who use plungers outside of those people. However, those people genuinely get the fatness of sound, and there's a specialness that comes from the way they use their plunger. Also, there's different size plungers, and they are going to give you different sounds, of course. If you use a sync plunger, they're the tiny ones. I'll post that somewhere around here. If you use a sync plunger, that's the only one I don't recommend people using, because it does not cover enough of the bell for you to manipulate the sound enough. It gets a very puny and like immature sound. I feel like people who haven't really studied plunger playing are the only ones who use the sync plunger. So you have to get you a plunger for the actual toilet, one of the big boys, preferably one of the longer ones. They make a deeper one that I'll post a picture of and link in the bottom, link below. They post a deeper one than this variation, but you want one that covers your entire bell so that you get that buzzy sound when you're using first position. Also, I recommend cutting out the center of it, so that it's more one piece, because all plungers have an extra lip on them for suction, which is good for their real job, which is to help pull nasty things out of toilets and sinks. But for our purposes, it's good to shave that portion on the inside off. Also, one other thing that's probably illegal, no one ever told me this, when Lincoln Center Jazz Orchestra came to visit my school, Doug Sampson, in 2006 when we did essentially Ellington, they came and they taught us how to cut holes in the mute, which you also should cut a hole in this portion of the mute, so that there's one technique is to have an open passage that gives a certain type of sound, but also you can place a nickel inside the hole, which if you look deep in there's a nickel in there for me. That will create a buzzing sound that's pretty unique, and so that was how they advocated. But I'm pretty sure like using a form of currency in an improper way is illegal and probably a federal offense. But I won't tell anybody if you won't. But yeah, So yeah, make sure you get a plunger that's big enough to fit your bill. Bills come in different sizes. I decided to make my particular plunger mute a little unique. I hired a friend of mine, Madison Roy, to do some artwork on it. Put my first letter of my name on there, Ricio. So I put an R on there, and I wanted to make the thing that I use for being creative and artistic. I wanted to make it interesting and make it my own. So threw some artwork on there. Gave her some parameters, like, hey, make it kind of like this, and just be artistic with it. So like it became an art piece for me, and something I feel proud of and happy to have on stage. For band directors, I recommend you actually go ahead and get the same mutes for your students, or have their parents get the same mutes, so that there's a consistent sound throughout the section. Because if somebody's using a little baby sync plunger and somebody's using one of the professional plungers that people in the Ellington and Basie Orchestra use, which they do sell specific ones now for trumpet playing. Back in the day, you had to take a actual plunger from the store and unscrew it and then manipulate, which is fine. This is what I did with this one. This used to be in the store and was supposed to be in the toilet, but it never made it to the toilet. So yeah, if you want to order one of those, I'll put the link below. But they're pretty cool to have, with a nice little design. They use the same texture and material as a regular plunger, but they put like some artwork on there that's kind of stylistic to them. Kind of looks like a cow, like a pink and white cow, if you ask me. But those are pretty cool. They have a ring for your finger to hook around. So yeah, if you want to check that out, let me know how that works out for you. And please drop any questions below about the plunger. I'm probably going to make a few videos about the plunger because it's one of the special things to me. So I'll make a few videos about it. If you have any questions and want me to put any input in the next videos about the plunger specifically, please put that below. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to be posting videos every Tuesday. I really want to make sure that I'm a valuable asset to band directors, especially people who don't play brass instruments, and that's a huge population of people like who are band directors and teaching students music. So if I could be a resource to y'all people, or any people who are trying to get some new inspiration or get some new insight on playing the horn from a professional musician, that's what I'm here for. So if you want to be on this journey with me, go ahead and subscribe, and I will see y'all next time. Later.